Hello. In our last section for MAC2233, Calculus for Business and Social Sciences, we'll be looking at section 6.5, the definite integral. We've been dealing with integrals, but there have not been any numbers on that integral. A definite integral has a lower bound number and an upper bound number. So we'll be looking at definite integrals versus indefinite integrals. And there's a benefit to having a definite integral with a lower bound and an upper bound. So remember, we're doing integrals. The bottom numbers are lower bound, top numbers are upper bound. And we'll just jump into an example. So if I had the integral from 0 to 1 of 1 minus x squared dx, we would take the integral, then we would plug in the upper bound number and subtract from the lower bound number. So if I had to calculate the integral of 0 to 1 for 1 minus x squared dx, the integral of 1 would be x minus the integral of x squared, add 1, divide by it, would be x cubed divided by 3. We don't need to put the plus c. Generally, we put the plus c, but remember, since we have numbers, lower bound, upper bound, it's a definite integral, you could put the plus c, but notice the next step is to subtract. So if I had c minus c, it would be 0 anyways. So we took the integral x minus x cubed over 3 from 0 to 1. We plug in the upper bound number where there's an x. So we have 1 minus 1 cubed over 3. Subtract from the lower number, plug in 0 into x. 0 minus x cubed over 3. This would be on the left side 1 minus 1/3, which is 2/3. Subtract 0 minus 0, which is 0. 2/3 minus 0 is 2/3. We'll give some meaning to what the definite integral means in a word problem, but for right now, that's how we deal with the numbers. And we can also check this in our calculator. So if we go to our calculator, we go to turn it on, go to y equals. Actually, we're going to go hit math. Make sure everything's clean in our y equals. We go to math. Go to number 9. That is for the integral. Actually, let's start at the home screen. So we do second mode from the home screen. We have a nice clean calculator. We hit math, number 9 for integral. Then we type in the equation. In this case, it's 1 minus x squared. So it would be 1 minus x squared, comma, x, to say it's with respect to x, comma, lower number 0, comma, upper number 1. Now, some calculators will give you the integral and you can plug in the numbers. This one will type it in this way, hit enter, and we get 0.66666, where if I hit math, number 1 for change to a fraction, there's your 2/3. There's your 2/3. Again, if you have another version of the calculator where it gives you the integral and you plug in the lower bound, upper bound, and then fill in just like you see it, in this case we would do the 1 minus x squared, comma x, comma lower number, comma upper number. Okay, so a nice way to check it. There are some patterns with some integrals, and that's what this page is about, but we're going to skip that. We're going to do it all by hand. But there are some patterns that you could memorize. And again, the example we just did, math 9, put the function, comma x, comma lower number, comma upper number, and we'll give you your answer as well for definite integrals. Okay, so let's do some examples. Let's say we have the integral from 0 to 1 of 2x cubed plus 10x plus 1 with respect to x dx, and so we take the integral. The 2 stays in front. The integral of x cubed, add 1, divide by it, would be x to the 4 over 4. Plus, leave the 10 in front, the integral of x would be x squared over 2, plus the integral of 1 would be 1x. Normally we put a plus c, but we know when we have numbers we're going to subtract, so we put it from 0 to 1. We plug in the 1 in for x, minus plug in the 0. So everywhere there's an x, we plug in the 1 first. That would be 1 to the 4th, which is 1 times a half, plus 1 squared is 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1. That'd be 1 plus 5 is 6, plus a half is 6.5, minus, plug in 0 in for the x's, 0 to the 4th is 0 times a half is 0, 0 squared is 0 times 5 is 0, 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0, 6.5 minus 0 is 6.5. Now again, we can check this in the calculator. Go to the calculator. From the home screen, we hit math, the number 9, and we type in the function 2x raised to the third plus 10x plus 1, comma, x, comma, lower number 0, comma, 1, close parenthesis, and when I hit enter, we should get 6.5. And we do. So it's good we can check it in the calculator as well, but you need to show your work by hand. The next question. Let's say with the integral from 1 to 5 of 1 over x squared plus 1 over x dx with respect to x. So again, we still need to know how to take the integral, and then we can check it in the calculator later. So before we can take the integral, we should rewrite it. So instead of 1 over x squared, we have x to the negative 2, plus instead of 1 over x, we have x to the negative 1 with respect to x. We haven't taken the integral yet. Let's take the integral first. So the integral of x to the negative 2, add 1 is negative 1, divide by it. So we have x to the negative 1 over negative 1, plus the integral of x to the negative 1 is ln absolute value of x. We're going from 1 to 5. But before I plug in the 5 and the 1 and subtract, again, we should always simplify, make life a little easier for us. So instead of having x to the negative 1 over 1, we're going to put, there's your minus 1, and then x to the negative 1, x would go on the bottom as a positive 1, plus natural log of absolute value of x from 1 to 5. So we plug in the 5 first, negative 1/5 plus natural log of absolute value of 5. If we plug that in the calculator, we get 1.409 minus, plug in 1 in for x, negative 1 over 1 is negative 1, plus absolute integral of 1, that gives us negative 1, and then 1.409 minus a negative 1 gives us 2.04. And again, we could check that in the calculator. We do math 9 in parentheses 1 over x squared, close parenthesis, plus 1 over x, in parentheses, 1 divided by x, close parenthesis, comma x, comma lower number is 1, comma upper number is 5. And we should get 2.409 when I hit enter, and we do. So it's a nice way to check your work as well. Okay, we're going to do a couple more problems in the next video.